So what experience was there? Well, there was that uncertainty, and then there was the hope, and there was another uncertainty, and then within a day or two of that uncertainty, a word is sent for all the men Mandali to enter Mehera's room, because I think they thought that it is the last. So just have the last glimpse, that's all. Nothing spectacular about it. But just while she was there, whether she had passed away or not, we don't know, but that was how we were called by the women, because our discipline as Baba had established, so all the men are away from that section. So naturally, Mani sent word that now you all can come for the last glimpse. Yeah. So at that time they were singing out Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai and Aarti and other things, and we just participated in that. Yeah. But if you were to ask us about what was happening, is that, well, all that we could gather from what the vibrations or the words coming from the other end of the wall, you see, that she has to be removed. The doctors were called, who were Baba lovers and all that. So she had to be shifted to Pune for a check-up. And there are very good facilities over there. A new institution has cropped up, and a Baba lover is there in charge of it, and so forth. And so how to shift her, an ambulance and all. They arranged for a air-conditioned car, a nice car was there, and so forth. Everything was working out, and we were just anxious. What's to happen now? She'll pass away. It seems like that. Or then there was a hope. You see, when she returned, that well, she feels much better with little medication that was prescribed, and so we heaved a sigh of relief. And then the next day again, there was an occasion when we had to lose all hopes. So that's how it was, just back and forth, wobbling. Yeah.
After she dropped the body?
And after she dropped the body, naturally what happened is that we had to make arrangements for the body to be taken and all that sort of thing. So that was arranged. And a year ago, exactly a year ago, well, Mani had given me an envelope saying that in case of emergency, and if she is not here, if Mehera were to pass away, remember that this is the text of the telegram that we'll have to send out. We always prepare ahead of it. It looks very odd, no doubt about it. So why she got the thought is that I had a little thought, you see, about a month prior to that, means a year and a month in advance. Well, we should have a proper coffin made out of, because here there are no facilities for preparing coffin or anything of the sort. So we had to find out some coffin maker, and we get a nice coffin with little cushions and this and that. So I got one coffin made. So that might have given a thought to Mani, you see, about it. I don't know what it is. So she gives me an envelope. I never read it and all that. And so when all this confusion was going on about uncertainties, I opened the envelope and I saw that. And I said, well, now we should prepare, as Baba has always taught us. First of all, here it's very difficult to get even telegraph forms, So I got a bunch from Pune. And we got all the addresses and all the messages typed out except the date. So you can fill in the date later on. So all these things were there, being done, you see. So it was very easy at the time. And so the body was kept here when she passed away. The telegrams were sent immediately. Pat was informed, and she took up most of the people were not here, those who were helping us. So when the message went there, somehow or other the message was there, sent, you see, by telegram. I think a letter went there or something, and then they came to know that there is emergency. So it was good of them to postpone their vacation and come immediately. That's how Pat and Irene came immediately, leaving all their luggage and everything there. Others came, Shelley came, and so forth. So all the women were being helped by these girls who had returned, and everything went on. we took the body in Huppo. The coffin was there. By the way, we kept the body over here in this room here for the night. And next morning we had made arrangements. And the site, of course, has been chalked out by Baba in his deed of trust. So we had told some 3 years ago, prior to this episode, told Ted on the quiet, you see, when there is nobody around, dig the grave there near on the right hand side, because it is very difficult. Our earth is full of hard shale. So we might have to dynamite and it might damage the tomb and this, and all these practicalities are there. So we have to be very practical. So I told Ted, so Ted had excavated the ground, had cleared the ground and filled it with just soil, that's all. So that was easy, it could be easily removed in no time. You follow, all this was the practical sides. We had to manage the practical side. From my end, my experience was just to see to the practical necessities from hour to hour. We had to send word to our rural department over here to get the death certificate, which was doctors had signed, and got it registered and got the pass to allow the body to travel from here to another place, which is another rural area, and so forth and so on. All this was managed. In the meantime, all of a sudden we have visitors coming from Canada and other places. And we said, why do you come? Why did you come all of a sudden like that? So, well, we were thinking, so there are many letters and many premonitions that are cited in the telegrams and letters. And of course, we got actual experience from those who arrived, you see, that how they feel. They had the premonition and therefore they thought that they must come, and therefore they have come, and well, this is how it is. So they were here. Yeah, some Westerners who had come, they came. Although it was summertime, they were not supposed to come. So we said, why did you come? You are not supposed to come here, but we couldn't help it. We came. How did you manage? So they could get their visas on Sundays, they could get their bookings, and all sorts of things happened. But it passed off smoothly. With a little exertion, and it all somehow or other gelled together. And so that's how it was. In no time everything was over. All that was done was that the body was taken from here to the site where the grave is now. There was the pit at that time. The body was laid inside the tomb of Baba with the coffin. It was coffin open. And that was brought out on the little patio that is there and exposed there. There were many people who had come there from Ahmednagar and Pune and Bombay, and all those people had come. So, well, they had their last glimpses, and we said, now let the body be by the side of the pit there so that we can lower it. All that we did was just sang out Baba's Aarti. No such thing as any service or anything of the sort. Which Baba never encouraged in the past also. That's a simple thing. Body is laid to rest. All that we could do, you may call it, the outward show was heaps of flowers with it. That's all. And Baba's name. Baba's prayer of Parvardigar was there. Baba's Aarti was sung, and hailing Avatar Meher Baba. Got the body inside. All the women did that. All the women. Yeah. Lowered the body and everything. With the help of the rope and all that. And one or two trustees were there who helped the women with the load. And just lowered. And then earth was passed from my hand to hand in basins, and it was poured there. And money somehow or other remembered, you see, I had kept it for a certain occasion. The earth from Baba's grave at that time. We had covered Baba's body with a particular type of earth, which was red earth like that. So she had a box full of it. So each one was given to just drop the earth, that's all. And that's the end of it all.
Eruch, your years here at Mehera, was it the men Mandali really have been kept under Baba's instructions, really totally separate from Mehera?
That's
Is that true?
From all women.
From all the women?
Yeah. Except Baba permitted Mani, Rano, Gave to be the liaison for certain occasions, Mani for office work, Rano for some errands, Gave for doctors, duties and all that. Otherwise nothing. We had no chance of contacting them or being in touch with them or speaking with them, I think. The only time that we were introduced to Baba was exactly a year prior to his dropping the body, in 1968.
To Mehera?
To Mehera, on 31st January. We were all assembled here. So that was something very peculiar. After years, you see, of long drawn exclusion, not seclusion but exclusion. So all of a sudden when we are all seated over here, Padri and others were there, all from Ahmednagar, and some from Pune had come also. Called the close ones who were working, called the workers around Baba. Meherji and others were there, Nariman and others were there and all that. So there was some talk and topic and all. I think there is a diary also, isn't it?
Right.
There is a diary of 31st January 1968.
Yeah, it's an account written down.
There is account what transpired. Okay, and then after a time, it must have been about between 12:15. He said, Baba says to us, today, he called, said, ring the bell. Bells were used, in order to call them. You can't shout out the names, so and so come in. So, with separate rings, separate persons were denoted by that. So, Gave comes over here, and Baba sends word, I think Gave or Mani, I forget now. He says, tell Mehera to be on the veranda. I'm going to bring the Mandali there. And we just kept quiet. We didn't know what Mandali there means for what. So then Baba tells us that I think that today what you all should do, I'll take you all. You come afterwards when I call you all, and you simply have to just be there and just wish Mehera Jai Baba. Say that. Mehera Jai Baba. He said, well, that's his wish, so we'll do it. That was the first and the last thing. So we went there, and Baba went there first, and it seems what we hear from Mani's report, that Mehera was rather nervous about being facing the Mandali and all that. Never had happened before, you see, like that. What to do? So Baba says, no man, I'll hold your hand. All that you have to do is you just stand there and greet them. When they greet you, Jai Baba, so you simply say Jai Baba to you. That's all. And that was on 31st January 1968, exactly a year before Baba dropped the body, and when Mehera had to come and then be with the Mandali as well as with us all, with all of us, whosoever paid, and then she came to Guru Prasad and all that. So that's how Baba gave a little guideline. Now, we kept to ourselves, and they kept to themselves. That's how it was. Although you all would be going there, men would be going there, we never went. So you all would be sitting there hearing the stories, there's that and all that sort of thing. And we were happy about it, because happy in the sense that, well, most of the time, after half the time that is spent over here and exhausting ourselves, at least there is a
Well, that time in 1968 on 31st January, was that the first time Mehera had greeted men?
Yeah.
Did she meet Kevlova?
I don't know.
I know that Baba had early meet her.
May have been. But to my knowledge, the Mandali,
As far as the
Mandali is the first time. She may have been told to greet others in the West when she went to Cannes and other places. I don't know anything about that. We had no connection whatsoever.
It's kind of remarkable that no connection was maintained through things like the New Life.
Yeah, there's another nice story about the New Life. She's laughing. She must have heard it before. Yeah. You knew it
No.
And you're purposely inciting me like that?
Karen was copying me, so.
So what had happened? Now, there's a change in the whole atmosphere when Baba announced that, well, he had a plan, which was being discussed, formulated, you may call it, before Baba let it out to Baba followers and lovers all over the country, here in India. So it was hashed here most probably while he was in great seclusion in this what they call blue bus. He was here for 40 days. And soon after that, well, he said that now he has got a plan. So he started making me write down the points of the plan. And that plan was that he now would want to go out in new life, a new phase. And there are these different things which you all have already heard, that he will be the companion and we all have to be his companion, and we may take him whatever we want to take him to be in our hearts, but never express it outwardly, and this and that and all that sort of thing. But one important thing is that we have to keep always a smile on our face and obey all whatever orders that he gives us. There should be no expectation of reward, spiritual or material, this or that, and so forth and so on. So it was a good thing. Well, we had come with that intention, leaving the world and to be with him wherever he is and whatever he wished. Just to give you a little background to it all. Although we were excluded from the men, there was the women were there and the men were here. Prior to all this is happening, years ago to all these things. So there was a sort of a feeling, a sort of a, well, what have we to do with the women? They are always nothing but pestering us, all this would be there, you see, all the time. Because Baba would say, no, have this is to be done, and this has to be done, and all that sort of thing. And women have to go out and make arrangements and all that. And at the 11th hour, something happens with the women and they change the plan. So that was irritating, all the time. The men Monday. Irritation was because of they are never fixed with their plans. You see. And we had to go in for all the planning and all that sort of. We had to do the labor work, and when we accomplish it, then the plan is changed. So you see, that was a feeling between men Mandali and the women Mandali. Women Mandali, they are innocent, they don't know anything. Baba never would tell them, but we would express our irritation to Baba sometimes. Yeah. And Baba says, well, change it. What harm is there in that? What's there in that? And this and that. And he always encourage us to go ahead, and for the sake of our love for Baba, not for the women, mind you. So we'll do anything. We'll go to any extreme, then we'll do it. So it was all right. But after the whole thing was chalked out, Baba added a little addendum to it, the whole thing, as to who the men will be there, and everything is there. And then Baba tells me, I said, there will be 4 women accompanying us in new life. So all that fervor, somehow or other, to me, at least my experience, oh God, the women will be with us. So I tell Baba, but how can that be possible? What's wrong with it? Well, we don't see them, they don't see us, we can't talk with them, they can't talk with us. No, it will be something different, it's a new life. On the contrary, if we have women, they'll be of help to us, they'll be stitching our kafnis, and naturally they'll be cooking and this and that, it will be a help to us. If that is a change, well, it is a welcome change. That's what my mind says. And so, it was welcome. Yeah, well, that's Baba's wish. Of course, everything boiled down to what Baba's pleasure is. It was a welcome thought. Let the women come. Yeah. Why not? Mani, Mehera, Mani, Dhaver, and Meheru. 4 women. Okay. So that's how it was. At that time, Mani was not frequenting us. She was also, call it an excluded woman, except Ghaver, we had no contact with the women. So now, this is the 16th of October 1949, the day when we are going to start a new life. So what had happened was, the plan was that all the men, of course many things happened in between, there are many stages and all that have nothing to do with our story here. So what had happened is that the men were to start from Meherabad and go as far as the railway. There was a railway crossing. Now you have an overhead bridge crossing the railway tracks. You see, formerly there was just a gate there, you see, and yet it was a level crossing, ordinary level crossing as you come across. Now there is a big overhead bridge and all that sort of thing. But at that time there was just a gate. So it was so prearranged that all the men Mandali would stop at the gate, go from Meherabad on foot naturally and go there and start. Wait for Baba. And Baba would be driven by me in Sarosh's car with the women, the 4 women that will be there. And at the level crossing, the car will be stopped. Baba and the women will get down, I will get down and hand over the car to Sarosh, who will be waiting there. Sarosh was not to come with us in New Life. He'll drive the car back and he'll go ahead. We'll go, we'll march. That was the plan. Now another thing I forgot to mention, you see, I had also mentioned when Baba said the 4 women will come, and I said, how can it be possible, and this and that, and they, every time when we have to drive them also there is a curtain behind the driver and this and that and all. We had to have a curtain, you see, so that no contact with the driver, not seeing our mugs, you see, or something like that. There was that little complex created, that what's the matter with our faces, you see that. Although it's all unsaid, but there is that mind and thoughts are there all the time, every now and then, year after year. So I told Baba that, well, even while driving, you see, there is a curtain put there. I said, no, in New Life there will be no curtain, no veils, nothing of that sort. He had told me that. So fine. So I had never arranged a curtain there. Otherwise it was my duty when I would drive women. I used to drive women. There will be a curtain put there. Even with the blue bus, everything was there like that. So that day I parked the car at the appointed time. Poor Baba comes and sits there. There is no curtain put there. And Baba is waiting. I am waiting also. And the women are not coming out. So Baba honks and nothing happens. And then Ghaver comes, and after some 2 or 3 honking there times, Ghaver comes out and whispers in Baba's ears something which I must not hear. It is. I'm just keeping quiet. And then Baba says, have you got a curtain here? I said, but what's this? You want it today? Now? You said there is no need for curtain. Mehera feels nervous about it and hesitant. So that's the reason why there is the poor Baba to say this to me, you see. So I said, oh God, it has again started. So I said, okay, I'll get it. So I got the curtain, put it there, and that was the beginning, yes. So then they came. As soon as the curtain was put, they just poured in, and they came and sat down. And Ghaver has not come. Now again honking there. So Ghaver comes running and says, Baba, I can't shut your door there. That is, it has, rainy season has just passed, and you know how the wood, doesn't yield to the locking and all that. So Baba says, he tells me to go and lock the door. So I go out and push the thing inside and lock it there. So that's how we started. And we started with this notion that instead of there being a health, there will be again a headache to us. That was in my mind. But we had nothing to do with them. They remained at a distance. While even in New Life, they remained at distance behind Baba. And Baba and I would be in the front, the women will be there, and men will be there, or men will go ahead, and like that. So there was that, still in New Life, there was that exclusion was there. Yeah, we had nothing to do with them. Yeah, right throughout the New Life also. Although Baba had promised that there would be no such segregation or restriction or anything. But we had no occasion to talk to them or say anything, nothing of that sort. So that is the end of exclusion. Yeah. By the way, Mehera's book has come out. You all have known, seen that? It's a beautiful. Have you seen the book? Yeah, it's a nice thing that has come out. Hours of tape recording and all that. Your tapes are there, Dara? Are they included in that? I don't know. Yeah. You don't know? So it is a recording, means it's transcribed, the tapes and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
I was talking to a couple of folks last night about free will. And so, but did Baba say anything about how much free will we have, or if everything is determined at birth, or what is that?
Well, Baba always gave us to understand that we do have a free will, as long as we remain, as long as we harbor the notion of separateness from the oneness that is Him. That is that amount, that quantity, that quantum of free will is with you.
We have free will not to follow the absolute.
No, not to remain as Brad. I myself remain as Eruch, asserting myself as Eruch. In spite of Baba wanting us to know and tells us to become aware of it.
Right.
And so that free will we do have. Till such time our free will, which Baba would always name it, is a misnomer. It's not a free will, it's a self-will. It's yourself, you're created by yourself. You don't have any free will at all, really speaking. But that free will which you name it as free will is a self-will. That self which needs to remain separate from the oneness of the self. So that's what he had told us. There is no such thing as free will. Yeah. What has happened Sonia, is that, it is. If we do not have any free will, then we have nothing that we do is our own. It is governed by the divine will, isn't it? It comes to that. So even if you commit sins or murders or thefts or have sort of any sex relationships or this or that, and all this is there, you are not to be blamed for it, isn't it? Because it is all governed by the divine will. That's true. Yeah. But what happens is this, that first and foremost is that if it is so, there's no doubt it is so. But then to the human beings He has given us the gift of the prayer of repentance. First and foremost, why should He have given the prayer of repentance? Why? Because what is behind it is that we are nothing but sparks or rays of that goodness that originally we originated from the sun, you may call it, or the selfless self. And we are supposed not to exercise our evil habits or dive deep into anything evil, because we are all good. We originate from goodness. We have to lead our life, good life. We have to lead a straight life. And yet what happens is, because of our assertions and this and that and all that, and it transpires like that anything and everything is by His will. But we are supposed to be good. We are not supposed to, but we are bound to be good. We should be good, because we are nothing but the progeny of goodness. And yet we commit such things. So that's the reason why it has been said that all we have to do is to repeat the prayer of repentance. And even if we do not have the gift of the repentance prayer that Baba has given us, there is a gadget within us, Baba says to us. Those who don't follow Meher Baba, those who have not even heard of Meher Baba and all that sort of thing, what happens to them? They don't know anything, they don't have any guidelines or anything of the sort. In the world, there are millions of people, millions of hearts, millions of selves, nothing. What governs their actions and all that? There is a gadget there. It's an inborn gift that has been given to us, you see. That always prompts us that that's not right. We shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't do this. No, it's not fair. So there is that which we call the prick of conscience in our human language. So there is all that. Why is it all the time pricking or making us aware about it? Because we are nothing but the product of goodness. So that is there as a saving grace, saving factor. In spite of it, we somehow or other overlook these things and we don't care for it and all that, and we continue to have our own way. But then, the hammer of the smithy is terrible, you see. When it falls, then we begin to realize and become aware of it. So that's how it is. It is all in the divine will, there's no doubt about it. And all this is to give us the experience of the opposites. We originate from the goodness, and yet we behave like that because we have to have the opposite experiences to get rid of our impressions that we are gathering in our incarnations. So that's why it has always been said that even in spite, let alone wanting to murder or wanting this, even if you want to, that is binding, as you said, is no doubt. It's a chain of iron, as Baba calls it. But have you given a thought to the persons or to the souls who aspire for goodness? When they get to that particular point, they would like to say, no, this way of my life that I lead. Just now you heard the story of Brad, you heard the story of Viva and all that, and you hear my stories and all that. What happens? A time comes when you turn towards, no, that's not right. We must be good. What should we do? Go in search of something, some master, some spiritual books to read, and this and that, and all that sort of thing comes. And by doing that, by gathering those impressions, we are again bound. Not only we are bound by the impressions of murdering or thieving or leading a wayward life or anything, that is there, those impressions are there, but these impressions are also there. Good impressions are also binding on us. I did penance, you know that? Sonia, I fasted for 40 days, do you know that? It was so good, it uplifted me. So assertions come there. I get myself bound, get myself again bound by impressions. I'm not free from impressions. So what is there? What is the panacea for it all? So Baba says, that's why it has been not Baba, in each advent he tells us these things, you see. That even if you do evil, you're bound. Even if you do good, you're bound. How to get rid of these bondages? The only solution is, anything that you do gives you impressions and feeds your mind, and that gives you the assertions. What is needed is that you lose yourself, and that's where you are free. Do not forget yourself. You try your best to forget yourself through meditation, concentrations, and this and that, and doing penances and asceticism and leading a spiritual life and all that. You're trying to, forget yourself. But even forgetting yourself is not that. You have to lose yourself. So what is to be done now? How to lose oneself? The only way to lose oneself is to be free of impressions. How will you Anything that gives us, whatever we do, good or bad, binds us, creates impressions. Impressions are there. I did this, I did that. I'm speaking the truth all the time. All the time I'm trying to feed my ego. All the time I'm feeding in good ways. So this time Baba says to us, again he repeats the same thing. And it is from time immemorial. I don't know when he gave the first messages. Take my name, repeat me, love me, know that I am the only one, I am the only reality, and this and that, all that. Parents tell us, lead a straight life, think of God, remember God, remember such a perfect master, remember them. So what is it, Baba says, why we are being guided into repeating the prayer, repeating the names, and what is the prayer? Glorifying the Lord. What are we doing there? We are getting impressions, no doubt about that also. We are getting holding on to the feet of Baba, remaining with a perfect master. What's there? That's right, there are impressions there. But whose impressions? Baba says that these impressions can only be uprooted, whether they're evil impressions or impressions of goodness, can only be uprooted by impinging your mind with the impressions of the impressionless, the one who is impressionless. So that's the reason why we have to all the time imbibe the impressions of the one who is free of all impressions. That's the reason why it is of our paramount duty to catch hold of the feet of the Lord, to imbibe those impressions. Those are the very impressions that can uproot the other impressions which bind us. These impressions are of the one who is free of impressions. So only that can free us from our bondage. So that's how it is. So that's why it is so important. Remember Baba, think of him, try to love him. That's what your parents, your elders, or any guides or gurus or anybody would tell you that. But why? Because this is the first time that I have gathered, you see, from Baba, that because these are the impressions of the one who is free of impressions. And those impressions are the only impressions that can uproot these impressions that bind you. Do you follow this, Sonia?
Yeah, but it seems very depressing because then there's no value in being honest and being kind. What's the purpose?
Why do you say that?
Saying that, like,
It'll bind you just as soon.
Yeah, it is
So
good.
why bother doing anything?
But because of these doing good and being honest and all that will lead you to his feet. Because you are a spark of the truth. And that spark, when you cultivate that spark, and that will lead you to him. That's when you will be able to gather the impression of the one who is impressionless. Living a straight life, being honest, being pure, and all that would tend you towards that. Yeah. It helps you. Baba says that all the evil impressions are like being bound hand and feet by links of what you call iron. Good impressions are also there that bind you, but your feet are bound, your hands are free. And they are bound with chains of gold.
but experience.
Where's Katie, by the way?
Katie, the one who has that.
They go to Happy Valley
Going to.
now.
Hope they don't throw stones at beehives and all that. There are big beehives over there. You know what had happened once? You have heard there's a hospital, mission hospital called Booth Hospital. Booth Hospital. Evangeline Booth Hospital. One day, we are all seated over here. No pilgrims are there. Baba is with us also. He has gone to his room for rest. And we find some foreigners coming, and we recognized immediately that there was the doctor in charge, chief medical officer of the Booth Hospital. And he comes and he falls Actually, Gaber, who is sitting there, is antibiotic. No, what? Antihistamine. What happened? What happened, doctor? Please give me. And so they were all, the whole group had gone for picnic and they were studying with bees. They even went and dived themselves in a whatever fountain that is there underwater. Even there, they started. So we brought them out. Each one tried to pick out all the stings that were there. Innumerable stings. So be careful with the children now. Is there any elder?
Janaki arranged it. And also, who else is going with her? Debbie. Deborah's going.
Deborah who? There.
And Janaki.
Deborah can control. Janaki is one of the children. Otherwise it's impossible to be with the children unless you become one.
And she put up a swing at right outside the pilgrimage yesterday.
For you all?
For the children.
Oh, for
A tire which serves as a swing. About the beginning of the Mehera playground.
Yeah. So once again you are here. What? So you are Gary from Norwich? No. This is the first picture? Really?
Eric, can you share with us the story behind why in Kudavad, Baba bowed down to a tomb or cave 6,000 times of the saint, the tomb of the saint?
But Baba bowed down at so many places, what to say about it. But what happened is that once he told us, when we were with Baba, we never questioned what he did. We were told to do and we did that. But why and what, never. But on his own, one day he told us. Not at that place. At that place, he would go there past midnight and sit there and then bow down. That shrine that is there is the shrine of the father of the perfect master who has a big mausoleum at Gulbarga here, nearby here, about 250 miles from here. And he is well revered. The son is well revered. The father's mausoleum is there too. So we didn't know. He's not much known to the public, but his tomb is there at Kuldavad along with the other 1400 who are there, buried there. So past midnight Baba wanted us to go there because during the day there are people over there, you see. Many pilgrims come there. So we opened the latch and Baba was inside. Always there is a lamp lit there. Everywhere you go, there is always a little flame, a lamp. Not the electric lamps, at that time there was no electricity there. Yeah. He sat down and he told me, have you got a matchbox? At that time I used to smoke a lot. So of course matchbox has to be there. We didn't have cigarette lighters or anything. So with every 100, keep a matchstick out from your matchbox. And when it comes to 10,000, let me know. So he went and bowed down and bowed down and bowed down and bowed down. Hours after hours. And he comes out, he's all drenched in perspiration. It was summertime. It's a small little coop. And so he was made to sit outside an hour. Then he said, I'm very satisfied. And then we went back to our place where we had stopped, which is also nearby. Have you been there? Did you ask me? Who has been there?
There was a trip yesterday that we took.
You took a trip yesterday?
Yeah.
Really?
the caves in Kudapad Valley?
Really, I'm happy. Yeah, I used to take people there years ago. So there he could be. But why he bowed down there, we didn't know. We never questioned it. But out of the blue one day, and he says that you have been noticing me paying visits to different places and museums and people and all that. He used to bow down in New Life. How many times he must have bowed down to mendicants and saints and mosques and all those things. So we never questioned him. But one day he says, when I go to the museum and when I bow down thousands of times, it is incumbent upon me to do so. So we used to question, but then he comes with the explanation. You know why? He says, I come in your midst to keep all places clean. When people come there, they bring their impressions there. They bring their woes, and all the time they bring their miseries there, and they spread the whole thing there. So in order to clear the atmosphere, I do that. I take it upon myself. That's what the explanation is.
Thank you. Eric?
It was very excruciating for us, a pain without... We see him bowing down like that, but how many times he must bow? That's why he developed pain in the neck later years and all that. Pardon?
I know that Baba did a lot of his work on Seclusion Hill, but I'm wondering if he ever said anything about that being a holy or sacred place, or what was there before he came and did his work.
The thing is that, yeah, he would tell that he would say, he would go there, this place, this Seclusion Hill here. The thing is that before we came to this place, he asked for a place, another place other than Meherabad, where there is more water, he said. And can there be a place not too close to the city, not too far away from the city of Ahmednagar, but a place where there is more water? Because the excuse was that in Meherabad in the early years, there was always a cry for water, which is still there. And people in the camp, number of people increased, so naturally he wanted a place which had more water. And he said, I want a hill nearby where I will start my universal work. Sure, because he wished for it. And within 15 days, we read in the newspaper an ad saying that there is a place belonging to the municipal corporation of Ahmednagar. At that time, it was no corporation, it was municipality. So there is a place to be auctioned, which is near Pimplegaon Lake. You must have seen the lake nearby. It's drying out now, of course. Formerly it was full, it was all the time overflowing at the time when we came here.
It's a reservoir.
Pardon?
Reservoir.
It's a reservoir. It was supplying water, drinking water to whole of Ahmednagar city. At the time, the population of the city was just 30,000. 30,000. Now it has gone beyond 300,000. So that's how it was. So whatever it was, so well, we brought Baba there because of the ad that we read. He wanted to inspect it, and the very first sight, yeah, there is a lake over here, and then he looked at the hill and said, "That's the hill."
He wanted a hill too.
Yeah, hill.
One of the
hill and more water. So we came here. He liked the place. He selected it. All this was not there. This building was not there. All the building that you see, all this veranda, nothing was there except that little cottage that as you step out of the place, you get a cottage first, then the building. So that cottage without any trappings of veranda or whatever you call it, you see, was not there. Just 2 rooms there. So that was fine. And the auction was to take place within 15 days or so. So Baba, the word spread out. Adi's father was one of the municipal members over there. He spread the news that Meher Baba liked the place and all that. So he lobbied for Meher Baba, being members there, so that we should raise the bid for him. See, eventually, the whole thing, of course there was the bid going on there, the gavel and all that. So 500 rupees for Pimplegaon rest house. It was known as the rest house because the engineer who worked over here to construct the lake, the Britisher used to be here, had to live here. So that's how it was. It was known as the rest house officer. So nobody raised the bill. So it goes
For 500 rupees.
for 500 rupees plus 200 rupees for whatever the buildings were there on that. So altogether in 700 rupees we got this place called Mehera now. So when we got that, soon after that, Baba would bring us 2 or 3 Mandali men would be coming over here. It was in 1943 or 42, late 42, 42, late 42. And then he would come, and then it's 43, then people started coming. Baba brought the women, some women from there and all, some men there. But when he came in the early years, 42, he would go up the hill and be there for some time. We never questioned him. We would go with him, 2 or 3 people. We would guard the place so that no shepherds come up with their sheep or anything. No noise is created. आ गए आप लोग?
जी
कैसे आए आप?
से वो एक जीप थी मेटाडोर
हाँ। आप लोग वहाँ रह कैसे गए?
बोलो हम लोग we were buying Baba's lockets and other things and giving some donations.
हाँ।
So in that process,
But you are not supposed
see,
to
I
do that.
didn't hear the bell also. you see. I
But
thought
what about
I had
all
no
the
idea
people?
what
They
it
didn't
was.
hear the bell also? Because that lady is very much, what you call, upset and saddened that you all were left behind and what's going to happen now to them, how will they come?
Because she has come for the first time.
But will there be somebody who will be here who will volunteer to go and report to Gary?
What's that, Eric?
Oh yeah, Casey, you are here?
Yeah.
Will you please tell Gary he's phoning those people there at at Trust Office to see that this contingent is driven here. And say that they have all arrived here. Excuse me for this interruption, because there was a lot of uproar in the beginning when you all had come here. The lady who had come from Delhi lost all the companions there because they got attracted to the little trinkets there at the joint, maybe, and they missed the bus.
That happens, you see.
It happened. Doesn't it?
Eruch,
Yeah.
is it true that at that time when you came with Baba, before the women came and stayed in
Yeah.
Mehera, Baba also sat in seclusion in one of the outer
in the
rooms
outer
that
rooms.
were
That I'm
there?
coming to that
Acha.
point. So what happened is that as soon as we arrived here, means second time he pays visit, third time he pays visit, he goes up the hill. So he would like to be there. So we go there and sit down. Sometimes it is the scorching heat of the sun is there, nothing is all open there, and we don't know, we don't go up there. We go and take Baba right up the hill there, and then we come down at the periphery there and keep guard. So this happened successively. Each time we would come here alternate day or even repeat the next day like that and so forth. So then, well, we never questioned it. So we thought that, well, he loved the place and he liked it for his work. Then what happened is that he wanted, there was another room there. There is a room here, still here. Empty room was there. So he went and sat there in seclusion also for some days. After that, instead of going up the hill, then he would sit there. Then he came here. When did he start going there to the room is that when he brought some men over here and we stayed overnight for 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights. So he stayed there and he remained inside doing his work. So well, that's his wish and pleasure. So thus it so happened that he would go up the hill and come down. Later on he brought the 4 women over here from Meherabad and some of the men Mandali, and that's how we started. They had that little cottage to stay there. Baba had a little room nearby here. There is another room there, which was originally there. So he stayed there, and we stayed under the sky. We lived under the sky. Yeah, it was a nice, happy days we passed. Then when he started frequenting the hill, we got a thought that, well, sometimes it would rain heavily, sometimes it is scorching heat of the sun is there, sometimes it is winter, exposed to wind, there is strong wind over there. There used to be much stronger than now. So we thought that, well, we should have some sort of shelter built over there. So We asked Baba, should we build one shelter for you to stop over there? Because sometimes you would stay there for overnight, 2 nights, 3 nights, 4 nights. So he said, yeah, it's a good idea if you can do it, but not one, but 2 shelters, 2 cabins. One for my universal work and one for my rest in the night. So that's how we had to approach the government. The government couldn't do anything over the local government, so they approached the governor of at the time of the province, Bombay Presidency was there. And then he said, it's not in my hands because the law is such that the slopes of the hills are exclusively meant for the cattle of the village and this and that. So it went, the whole chapter went up to the Viceroy General of India and all that. For spiritual reasons, the top of the hill is needed and all. So sanction was given for certain demarcated portions. We had to send the plan out. So we built the 2 cabins on the hill.
Made of asbestos.
Made of asbestos walls for Baba. Yeah. So he would stay there and we would go there. We would stay there with him and all that. But to tell you about the importance of the hill is that in the later years after Baba met with the accident, it was very difficult for him to climb the hills or climb the steps and all that, but still he would do that. And at certain times, it's after 52, in 1954 it so happened that Baba had called different groups over here. You know, because we speak in English and there are people who are speaking Marathi and Hindi and Telugu and Tamil, they don't understand these things. So Baba is there for all. So whatever he says, he doesn't speak, so he gestures. So his gesture has to be said in English, repeated in English, then it is translated into different languages, which is very cumbersome. Cumbersome for not for us but for Baba, because if he says, well, how do you feel today? It is to be translated. It takes nearly 3 minutes, to get the whole thing around. And then from where have you
translated? Some people call them interrupted.
So people thought it was interrupted. Yeah, it was considered to be interruption, you see, in whatever Baba would want to convey. So that's how it was. So that's the reason why I'm talking about you of that period when Baba divided his whole following into different groups. So people speaking Hindi will come for a week with Baba. People speaking exclusively Telugu will come, Marathi will come, Gujarati will be exclusively having a week for them, and English was the common. So that's how it was. So 4 groups, I still remember. Each time with every group, he led the group up the hill, in spite of the accident and the pain that he had in his limb. So when he goes up there, and to each group he has said this, that how blessed you all are. You can't even imagine. You have no idea. I, in my flesh and blood, am leading you up the hill. It is known as the seclusion hill, where I have done my universal work. After I drop the body, people will come here and pay visit to it. From all parts of the world, people will come, of all ranks, all walks of life. And they will come here. And what would they find? Nothing but rocks. Because those 2 cabins were by that time brought down in 1952. So there was nothing there at the time. What would they find? Nothing but rocks. But why would they want to come? Because I have done my work here. So that is the importance of the work which we don't know. That work was to draw all hearts to him. That is our conjecture. So the importance of the hill, he himself has said that. Likewise, he took all those groups right up the hill there at Meherabad. Yeah. And he led them. Each group was led by him physically. And he said the same thing. And there when he went up the hill there, he told about it, that how blessed you all are. That here in flesh and blood I am leading you up to the place where my tomb will be. Yeah. And people from all parts of the world will come. There will be a time to do justice to posterity, that is to come here, flock around, put your head on the threshold. Because there was the crypt there, there was no tomb there. The door was open, so put your head there, bow down. So we were fortunate to bow down in his physical presence. Here he said, in order to do justice to the posterity that is to come, and this day that I am telling you, pick a rock and keep it with you, a little stone at the hill. That's how it is. So that's the reason why when the pilgrims go up the hill, they pick up rocks. Not a rock, not a piece of little pebble, but they bring a basket full of rocks. And with the passage of time, I'm sure there will not be a hill, but a cavern over there.
No, but now they only bring just a memento.
The other day I saw the whole thing was full, the table was filled with bags of rocks, money. You don't
But
know.
then they don't take them all back there.
No, but
They
then
don't
what
know
do we do? We have to go back
That
and
should
throw them
not be.
again.
That should not be. There's an article that
Yeah.
and rock roads somewhere that.
We have the
Valley.
articles we have been telling, but kids are so
Secluded
kids.
valley.
Yeah.
Eric. Now, does it mean it's happened twice then? One time during his 52, and before that, in 48, the Bible went to the build a cabin there twice?
No, only one. The cabin was built in 1945. Cabins were built.
That's 52.
And then in 52 they were brought down and built. Two cabins were brought down and made into one and still here.
But they were there all these years.
All the years. Even when we went out in New Life also, the cabins were there. So just as when we were walking all the distance and coming and going across the road, on the road there that leads to Ahmednagar, we are coming from the Ellora cave side. While we are walking, Baba looks up the hill and says that the two cabins are still there. He said, yeah, the caretaker must be taking care. Because it was under the care of Dada Chanji family, this place. It was gifted away to them. So Baba says, let's go and rest there. So that's how we crossed the fields and went up the hill. That's how it was.
But talking of the two rooms, this outhouse as we call it, and which later turned into godown. One room is where the servants sleep, and the other became the godown for onions, a storeroom kind of thing. And this for many years it has been like that.
It's still like that.
Yeah, but then after Baba dropped his body, when young families started coming from all over the world, one of them, you may be knowing him, called Will David. I call him Willie Treebeard. Tall and he's just, he's so one with nature that you can. So he would go from tree to tree. He's also a tree doctor. He'd go from tree to tree, pat them and say, "Oh, he's nice. Oh, she's good," And I was quite impressed. So after a while, when we went over to the godown, to the onion room, the onion godown, as we call it, and he touched the wood and said, "Oh, he's wonderful. Oh, she's great." As a guy's cuckoo. I mean, there's only an old door of a godown. I mean, trees I can understand. But after he left, it came to me. I said, no, he's right. This is a room where Baba did as well, where Baba was. Baba stayed there for quite some time. This is the room where Baba has been in. But no wonder. So then, even the door, an inanimate wood wall, it absorbed his presence. And that's why it made me think the other day, why when Baba says, "I'm everywhere," everyone knows it. Why is there the need? When Baba is everywhere, why is there the need to come here? Even Elizabeth would say, "I know Baba's everywhere. Baba's very much in my village. He himself has created this place and given his presence. But we come again and again here because here his presence is so much more felt. Why? Because this presence is saturated with his presence. It absorbs. And in Mehera, he's been the most number of years statically at one place, and instead of just traveling or things. So it's just saturated with his presence. So then, I also remember I used to sit and type the family letters, the last series, while sitting in that onion godown. I also think the ammonia from the onions helped me keep away. But there was a very special feeling. There is still a special feeling about that room, which is still used as a go down, a storing thing, storing Bachawan and books that were read to Baba, and very nicely done. But see how it can be. For someone who could feel that kind of thing, he felt it in the door with the paint all peeled off, and just nothing. And he just caressed it. How Baba once explained, when someone couldn't help remarking on this extraordinary way of people having Baba's darshan, when Baba threw open the gate, he said, all can come, all are welcome. And so Baba lovers would come, their family would come, their friends would come, their neighbors would come, just anyone. Like the darshans you see in the film where Baba gave darshan in Mehera's compound, known as Kushu quarters, and also later in Wadya Park. And you see how Baba's giving prasad of his love with both hands, like that, non-stop. And each person just puts his head on Baba's feet and out. It's just a second. And someone could have remarking in a light vein. I mean, what is this? They don't even get a second for darshan. What do they receive from that? And Baba says, they receive all that I'm giving them. And then, not only is what, as Kabir says, and Baba mentions that, ek ghadi, 1 moment, adi ghadi, half a moment, adi kirti ad, even half of a half moment, when you are with him, it's lifetimes, cuts away, wipes away crores of sins, sanskaras. Anyway, the importance of even spending half of a half moment with God. But what I have always remembered as very exciting is what Baba said. Baba said, the mind is faster than the heart. And when you bow down, it's from the heart. The heart is involved. You love, you adore, you want to take his darshan. So you put your head on his feet, that's 1 second. But before the mind has time to get in, you've had it. The mind does not tamper with what you have received, because the mind is faster than the heart. And I think that's something to remember. So if one only goes by the heart, then it's clear, the way is clear. But when the mind gets in, then it becomes different. You need explanation, you wonder why, you wonder how. But before that, it's smooth.
But mind is a wonderful test.
Yeah, I've got to put up with it, I know. Talk of mind. See how the mind of the villagers works. I love it. I love these little things. The ways of the world, I mean. Now, how they even trick death. They trick death into believing something else. For instance, in a village home, if they have a male child is born into the family, that's a very important thing, very special thing. A great joy and celebration and all that. But if that child, that boy, that baby boy does not survive, then if it happens again with the next child, what they do is they trick death by naming the child some awful names. They give a name to the child like garbage, like rock, like rubble, like broom, or that's so that no attention is drawn onto them, and amazingly the next children survive. But they give the first children the names, and then they survive. Because of the names, they survive. And then after that, if there are more boys, then you give them grand names. So I still remember we were introduced to these two boys in the village. One was named Ram, 4 boys. One is named Ram, another is named Lakshman, but the first one is named Garbage Kacharu, and the second is named Rubber Dagaru. The third is named Ram, and the fourth is named Lakshman. In the same way, the other day when we were coming from the office, as we come on the private road to Meherazad's residence, there are some huts. We have neighbors now. We didn't before. There was just no one. It was absolutely isolated, this road. All those years we were with Tara. So, but we have now neighbors. We had perhaps one hut, but now there are 4, 5, and quite a neighborhood. And the other day, coming back from the office, we find a nice little colorful shamiana is built. They have hardly what you might call a hut. I mean, the cottage or hut is so drab, is so poor, and yet there was this nice, gay and colorful little shelter. And we knew that this is a joyous thing. So what is it? So we were guessing. Wedding of one of the children? No, said Eruch. The children are grown, or either they're too young or they're too old. Then what could it be? Is it that they're having a jagran? They have very often around in the villages here a whole night awakeness.
Vigil.
Huh?
Vigil.
They get awake all night. For that, they make a lot of noise with a lot of music.
Keep everybody else awake.
Yeah. So is it that? Then we heard the next day, because that evening they brought us some of the good things that they had cooked for the community, all the guests who had come. Some sweet rava, which we like, and things. And we found out it was the naming of a son. The giving a name is a very important thing. But the son was 18 years old. Till then, no name was given to keep it secret from death. He wouldn't be around. Nobody exists here. You only exist if you have a name, and a consensus. His name wasn't entered in the books anywhere, so they missed him. Now it's safe. After 18 years, you can take a chance. So now you must name, and this naming ceremony caused all this gaiety and feasting and other.
बादशाह ना बोलते हैं बादशाह आप लोग में है you all have
naming ceremony?
Yes, but it is
very early.
Here it is it's the tradition to have child's name after some years. Badsha, they call it. Badsha ceremony.
But even as a rule, they don't give a child a name as soon as it is born.
They have the child's name there, but as Mandali says, some peculiar name is given.
10th day or 7th day.
9 months.
The stone. It is called the stone. At that time, when the Pandit is called, he will give a name according to his.
No, here what happens is the parents give them some any odd name, you see. And then Pandit is called at that time.
When he is quite grown up, 15 years.
When everything is all right, it's considered to be safe to name him.
Yeah.
No name was given to him. So we said, what do you call him? They said, boy, or whatever.